Back now, still in the spirit of Independence Day and celebrating Nigeria at 65, we'll reflect on how far our performing arts have come. From traditional storytelling and stage plays to modern theatre and film. It's a journey that mirrors our identity and our culture. And so, today we'll explore Nigeria at 65, performing arts and the journey so far. Now, to have this conversation with us this morning, joining us via Zoom is Dr. Abdullahi Lawal. He is the HOD Theatre Arts, Alex Ekweme, Federal University, Ndufualike, Abakaliki. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, can you describe or tell us the evolution of performing arts in Nigeria over the past 65 years?
Well,
Well,
thank you.
um,
The
the
evolution of
of
theater
the
arts
art
or
or
performing
performing
arts in Nigeria cannot
cannot
uh, be
be discussed
discussed without
without
looking
looking into
into the
the background
background that gave
that
birth
gives
to
to
the
the
tradition. This is because our culture and tradition in Nigeria contributed a lot to the growth and evolution of performing arts in Nigeria. Uh, Performing arts in Nigeria enjoyed the rich culture, across ethnic groups in Nigeria. Igbo culture, Yoruba culture, Hausa culture, and the rest. And if you look at the modern performing arts, so to say, they dwell so much on these our roots. So I think in the last 65 years, Nigeria has not done badly in terms of performing arts in Nigeria.
All right, Dr. Lawal. Now, looking back, Nigeria is already 65, and we had pioneers before now. What role would you say that, all these early theater pioneers like Habat Ogunde, Wole Soyinka, Duro Ladipo played in building the foundation of Nigeria performing arts?
Well, the pioneers of performing arts in Nigeria have done a lot, most especially coming from the contributions of professional theater practitioners like Hubert Ogunde, Kola Ogumola, and some of them before coming to the theater artists in the academia. Before independence, Hubert Ogunde and his likes, because there are many in Nigeria, they have done so much for the practice of performing arts in Nigeria. In fact, Chief Ogunde was taking his arts from the west to the north, in fact, from Nigeria, out of the Nigeria shows for people to enjoy our rich cultures. The contributions of Soyinka, Olarotimi, Joel Adedeji, and some other pioneers can never be overemphasized because they also contributed in the sense that they were involved in the productions of various stage plays for Nigerians to see, themselves on stage. And some of them even took out these productions, abroad for people to see. We see the instances of the Lion of the Jewel by Wole Soyinka and some of the productions that Olarotimi did, and the contributions at the University of Ibadan, being the pioneer of academic performing arts in Nigeria. These contributions too can also, be appreciated. So for me, since the contributions of pioneers within these 65 years of Nigeria's existence as a country are greatly, appreciated. And that is why, these days we still, leverage on their strong foundations they have built for us. And in 1986, when Soyinka won the Nobel Prize for literature, drama, specifically, it's also a pointer to the huge contributions to the involvement of performing arts in Nigeria.
About the evolution of performing arts, and you've also talked about the role that these the pioneers like Ogunde and Soyinka and Ladipo, the role they have played so far. Now, looking at in the early post-independence years, what role would you say that theater and performance play in shaping Nigeria to what it is today?
Thank you. What performing arts or theater arts as a career or profession does is to mirror the society, to tell the society about itself. And I could remember that one of the stage productions of Chief Ogundi, the title of the production is Yoruba Ronu, where Chief Ogundi, told the Western region, as it were, of their atrocities at the region, which I think the premier was in the hall to watch the performance, and that led to the ban of that production in that very period. So the performing arts of the early post-independence were so critical of political activities, the upbringing of the future leaders, and that was what they were busy doing, taking their productions from one location, to the other. And when Hubert Ogundi was speaking truth to power, that led to the ban of his production in the Western region. And it was not only that, Soyinka also, has done few productions in the early post-independence Nigeria, where it became a target of the rulers in this country. I think performing arts, has contributed a lot to the reshaping of our nation called Nigeria, so that we can have a better country for ourselves. And we have not stopped. It's just that the era has changed from early post-independence.
All right. Now we know that you are a HOD of theater arts who is well versed. Now, what were the defining moments or say production that marked Nigeria's global breakthrough when it comes to theater and performance?
Well, I think the productions that define Nigeria globally, for me, are productions, state productions, or theatrical productions that tilt towards political activities. Because what we usually do in this country is just we have not gotten our, our polity right, and which is why uh, Shoyinka and his lights, Olarotimi, famous Ovishan, this is the kind of production that gave them, you know, the global image, and I think that is the kind of productions that really tell the world who we are. Because if we produce uh, uh, text, or drama text of, let's say, telling us about upbringing of children, this may not actually, invoke what we actually, what the world actually expect from us, because our polity is not well stable. So I think any production that is geared towards um, political consciousness will go a long way, and that is few things that we do in our department.
All right. How would you describe the movie Living in Bondage, and how was it able to give us a global stage?
Well, thank you. Living in bondage is uh, is not the beginning of Nigeria video film, or Nigeria own video film that we popularly refer to as Nollywood. But it is a mark. It is a mark where we now have, where we now concentrate on the new dimension of film production, because before that era we were busy, using cellular medium to produce our films. I think uh, as a result of the production of Living in Bondage, we the world the world saw that Nigeria was ready to toe another line of arts, which we are enjoying, till today. And if you look at the productions that come out from Nollywood, they are, globally recognized. In fact, in some of our researches we did some years back in Ibadan, we realized that Nollywood has gotten a new face now that we refer to as a new Nollywood. Because if you look at not about the quantity of the film they produce now, about if you look at the quality, the budget, they now have big budget production. They have, actors and actresses that can convince you when you see them in their art. I think Living in Bondage will for long stay in our memory as the first Nigeria video film that gave way for success in Nigeria video film production that we also call Nollywood.
Now, despite its potential, the performing arts sector faces a number of challenges. So can you tell us the challenges that are currently affecting the performing arts sector and how it is affecting the industry at the moment?
Well, there are many numerous challenges facing the industry, as you rightly stated. But the first, among them is the funding. Most of the people, most of the artists who are engaged in the production, in the activities of Nollywood, most of them are into this practice without anybody's financial or funds support. So I think if government can come in, help those who are outstanding among these artists. It could be in form of loan, it could be in form of support, grants, as it is done elsewhere in the world. Again, government can organize training for artists, because Nollywood has become a culture that represents, that promotes Nigeria, globally. So it is not bad if government at all levels, tries to organize training for these artists. The upcoming artists, they can create a training for them. Another thing is that enabling environment. Government can also, create enabling environment for them, because some of our artists, they struggle to create their arts. They work so hard to see their arts, come out fruitful. So I think government has a long way they have a long way to go to encourage our artists to do more. Before, Nigerian video film was in the third position in the world in terms of quantity of production. But now Nigeria is sitting favorably in second position in the world after Bollywood of India. And they are not just sitting there producing quantity for production sake. No, many of their works are of international standard. So government needs to support this talent, so that the image of Nigeria can go further than what we expect. And Nollywood contributes hugely to the economy of Nigeria. So by doing that, the government is also, growing the economy. I think government has a lot to do for Nollywood to thrive, more than, the way it is presently.
All right, Dr. Lawal. Now, many creators say, also many actors, and say singers, producers, and everybody in the industry, not just everybody, a few persons would say that they are pushed into being in the industry why they earn less. For example, when you come to the music sector, some producers actually force the singers to stay despite the fact that they don't want to stay or be in the record label. We have seen cases on social media. What would you say is the issue that some of these creatives say that they earn little when there is, big motive, when there is Nollywood's volume? Would you say that the industry is exploitative? Who would you hold responsible? Would you say it's the producers or the distributors, or would you hold the government responsible? And what kind of reform would you put in place to protect this artists, so to say?
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that your question is very insightful. Government is still, going to be held responsible for that. You cannot really blame the producers or directors that are taking advantage of the situation to extort or exploit artists. If there are policies, if there are laws on ground, that protect artists, that producers or directors engage, the artist can, get protection from these policies or laws put in place by government. I think it is still government that needs to provide enabling policies or laws that can protect artists, so that they will not be extorted or exploited by producers and directors. I agree, and it is true that some producers take undue advantage to exploit artists. But artists are workers. It is the same way we see employers of labor extort workers because government has failed to protect their citizens. So artists too can be protected if government is ready to provide policies that can protect them. That if you engage an artist, for example, for maybe hours or days or for some scenes, this is the actual amount you should pay him or her. So if those laws are in place, I think the artists or workers of art will not be exploited. So government is still government still has responsibility to do in this regards.
Right. Now, Nigeria has institutions like the National Council for Arts and Culture. We also have the National Theatre, the one recently renamed after Wole Soyinka. And all of these institutions were meant to support the arts. How well would you say that these institutions have fulfilled their mandate over the years? And what is your assessment of the current state of theatre infrastructure and performance spaces in the country?
Thank you. We must, first of all, appreciate the efforts of federal government by the renovation done, at the National Art Theatre, which was recently renamed after Professor Wole Soyinka. But state governments, subnationals, states, local governments can also take a cue from federal government by, renovating our national monuments for arts and culture across the state. Let me give an example in Ibadan. The Cultural Center in Ibadan, which was built, I think, in 1976-77 to collaborate the FESTAC of 1977, is in a sorry state. So governments, and it's not only in Oyo State, it cut across. If you go to other states, it is like that because government does not pay, adequate attention to this monument. So I think all states government should try to take a cue from federal government to renovate all these art council, cultural centers, and again, local governments can also, build centers for culture and arts across all local government, and not only to build for building sake. The cultural activities should also, take place regularly in all these centers without giving stringent conditions to the artists who are going to be using the centers. Again, I can say that we have good number of art infrastructure in Nigeria, but the problem we have in this country is maintenance culture and keeping the pace of what our fathers have done. I think if government can change their attitude towards these centers, I think it's going to be good for us. All these centers have contributed a lot to the growth of performing arts in Nigeria, most especially national theater in Lagos. But others can also emulate from that. There is nothing bad in having a similar center like a national theater in Abuja, like we have it in Lagos, we have it in Abuja, and in all state capitals of the federation, in all local governments. This will contribute a lot to the growth of culture in Nigeria, and consequently, it will also add to the growth of the Nigerian economy, because the only way Nigeria can grow, speedily is contributing, developing our culture. It is not by, trying to struggle with the West in technology. We can do, seemingly well if we invest so much in our culture. So, and I think government should look into this direction. It's just that the individuals have been, striving over the years to see that, this industry grow than it used to be. And we are seeing the growth. It's just that these people, these artists need government intervention, government support, government encouragement for them to do more. If we can do that, I think we are going to overtake Bollywood. We will do better than what is happening in America. Thank you.
Also leads me to ask, you've mentioned about infrastructure and maintenance of these centers and institutions, but do you think that we have adequate training platforms for grooming young performers and dramatists in Nigeria, considering that it seems as if there has been a decline in, professionals in the theater arts industry? So do you think we have enough manpower and also platforms for grooming young performers and the next generation of dramatists in Nigeria?
Well, I think that we have post-secondary school training institutions where these upcoming artists are trained, are groomed. But that is not enough. That is not enough. There are centers government can help to create where these young artists from the universities, from colleges of education, from polytechnics, where they can, assemble for them to have deeper training. Let me give you an example. In all universities in Nigeria, it is only in few universities that artists are trained to be specialists. So, but after their university education or colleges, colleges of colleges of education, there can be 6 months training for them, a year training for them, where some of them will be trained solely, for example, in acting, where some of them will be trained solely on theater management, where some of them will be trained solely on directing, and so on and so forth. I think this kind of training is also required and necessary. And there are individuals who are trying to do it, but this cannot be as effective as when government, come in, because this industry is an industry that can shoot Nigeria to the world. So we have enough training, but we can still build more post university training for our artists to have better, professionals in Nigeria.
All right. How do you think theater and performing arts can be used as tools for youth employment and skills development in Nigeria?
Yes, theater and performing arts can be used to train young Nigerians in terms of using the medium to conscientize them, to sensitize them that there are things you can do for yourself without waiting for white collar job, as we say it. We have a part of our curriculum in the Nigerian university system in theater arts. There is a community theater, as a course. Some people call it a theater for development, where community people are conscientized, on how to imbibe in some practices. So theater arts or performing arts can be a tool to speak to the youth, by letting them know that there are things you can do for yourself. You can learn some skills, which after a while you become employers of labor, yourselves. Through theater art as a tool or performing art as a tool, I think the the young Nigerians, the youth in this country can watch us, can see us, and learn a few things. And I think in our university, SLTV University, we have been doing that, going from one communities, to the other. And it's not only to go to rural communities. We do that even in the university, community, to sensitize people on what to do, on the necessary things to do, so that their life can become better.
All right, Dr. Abdullahi Lawal, I think we'll have to end our conversation here, but we'll hope to have you in the studio sometime. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Yes.
All right, we just spoke to the HOD Theatre Arts of Federal University in Dufu Alike, Abakaliki, on Nigeria at 65 performing arts, the journey so far. And that is where we'll draw the line on that conversation. Do stay with us because Signature Morning continues after now.